Hello, my name is Patrick and the topic of my research project is Skipfish. In this video, I'm going to give an overview of what Skipfish is, and there's also going to be a demonstration of how it's used. Skipfish is a free open source active web application security scanner that comes pre-installed with Kali Linux. It's also available for Windows 10 and Mac. Skipfish is designed for information gathering purposes and finding vulnerabilities within websites. The security checks it provides are well designed and provide accurate results. Skipfish is easy to use, fully automated, and is one of the best tools for penetration testing. Skipfish was developed by Google. The information security engineers that work for Google who created and still maintain Skipfish are Mikhail Zalewski, Niels Heinen, and Sebastian Raschke. Skipfish works by carrying out a recursive crawl and dictionary-based probes on a targeted website or web application. The resulting information goes through several security checks, and any security flaws that are found are categorized into different risk groups based on their severity. The information is then generated into a report that is displayed in an interactive sitemap. Some of those risk group severity levels are categorized based on certain criteria, like high-risk classification consists of vulnerabilities that could potentially lead to system compromise. And some examples of the high-risk classification would be SQL injections, XML injections, or shell injections. Medium risk classification consists of vulnerabilities that could potentially lead to data compromise. Some examples are cross-site scripting, cascading style sheet attacks, listable directories, and MIME type issues. And then a lot of low risk classification issues are usually issues that have limited impact. And some examples of those are external untrusted embedded content, directory listing bypass vectors, and SSL certificate hostname mismatches. Some extra features and benefits to Skipfish are it's very easy to use and it's pretty user-friendly too. That interactive sitemap it gives has a really good graphical user interface, for example. Skipfish is not resource intensive and has minimal CPU footprint. Skipfish is one of the only penetration tools that's written in pure C, and this greatly helps with its speed and performance. And Skipfish provides intelligent, high-quality security checks and can spot a range of subtle flaws. And why did I choose Skipfish for the research topic? Well, having knowledge of how to use a web application security scanning tool like Skipfish could be beneficial when doing future assignments in this class. Also, compared to other web application security scanning tools, Skipfish stood out because it was developed and still supported by Google. It has a low false positivity rate, or positive rate, and it's also quite fast. It has, I didn't put that down here, but like some of the HTTP requests or the dictionary probes that it gives, it can do 2,000 requests per second, which is faster than some of the other tools that perform some of the same functions as Skipfish. And compared to the other ones, it also has a much more minimal CPU footprint as well. So that's why it stood out compared to the others. And before we start the demonstration, I made a simple network diagram to give an idea of what device is using Skipfish and what device is being targeted by Skipfish. And they're actually just two virtual machines that I made in VirtualBox, but I made it so they're on the same local area network technically, and the one that's going to be using Skipfish has a Kali Linux operating system, and that one, of course, comes with Skipfish already pre-installed. The other one, the device that's going to be being targeted by Skipfish, is a Metasploitable virtual machine. And for those who don't know what Metasploitable is, it's pretty much a virtual machine that's was made to be intentionally vulnerable, and it's a version of Ubuntu Linux that, of course, has a lot of vulnerabilities that was intentionally made that way, and it's usually made for testing purposes, like testing security tools and demonstrating common vulnerabilities. Alright, let's start the demonstration. And as you can see, I have Kali Linux here, and I'll pull up my other Metasploitable virtual machine. I have it right here, and what we'll do is we'll log into Metasploitable, and how one would do that, the username and password is exactly the same, and it's MSF admin for the username and the password, and it looks like we're logged in. And now that we have Metasploitable here, let's get the IP address of it, which we would do by typing in ifconfig. Also, as you can see, Metasploitable doesn't really have a graphical user interface, it's just a command line. It also doesn't really take up that much resources, which is nice. And right there we can see what the IP address is. It's 10.0.2.4. And actually, let's open up a Firefox browser and we'll try to access that Metasploitable web server. There it is. Oops. Pull this back up, and it's 10.0.2.4. And these two devices are on the same local area network, so it should connect no problem. And as you can see, Metasploitable also acts as a web server. We can access the site, which is perfect for our Skipfish demonstration, because now that we have this here, we can access Skipfish. And how one would access Skipfish from Kali Linux is you can go to the Applications button up here, and if you click on it, it's under Web Application Analysis, and one of the options is Skipfish. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and once we open up that, it gives us a lot of options that we can use with the Skipfish utility. And these are basically mostly filters, like some crawl scope options. We can limit the scope of the recursive crawl that it's going to do, and all kinds of stuff. And these are all optional. The only one that's not optional is this, the -O, and that's because the output has to be redirected to a specified location. So we'll go ahead and there's a lot of different settings too, like performance settings. These commands you can use with Skipfish. And alternatively, you don't even have to access it that way. You can do it right from the terminal. So you can just click on the terminal within Kali Linux, and you can just type in Skipfish. And of course, I actually already did this earlier, but we'll go ahead. Whoops. Oh, sorry. And we'll do this, actually. And this is the command we'll use to target that Metasploitable web server. You have to type in Skipfish to activate the application, and then -0, and that specifies where the output's going to go. And this right here, Nabozny, is my teacher's last name, and that's going to be the name of the folder. So this also creates a folder. So the output of this is going to go directly into this folder here. And if this folder already exists, it could return an error, so you have to make sure it doesn't already exist. And then this is the IP address of the web server, and it's also very important that you put the HTTP : // or else it won't work, because it does those dictionary-based probes over that port. And that's also where the web server is. So now that we've done that, I'll go ahead and hit enter. It looks like, let's go here. Let's change this. My apologies. Let's go back to this so you can see what it says. So it's just giving us a little brief tutorial on Skipfish. It says it's going to start the scan, and if we want to abort the scan early, we can do so by hitting Control-C. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit enter. And now it looks like it's starting the scan. And it's doing those dictionary-based probes over this HTTP request. That's basically the dictionary-based probes that it's doing. And this scan can take a little bit of time, depending on how many vulnerabilities the website has. And of course, the Metasploitable one will have some vulnerabilities. We can always abort the scan early as well by hitting Control-C. But I'll go ahead and fast forward to where the scan is over. So I went ahead and I let the scan run for about 54 minutes. As you can see where it says scan time. And it looks like where it says issues found, it did find some issues. So I already aborted the scan, and it saved a report to that Nabozny folder that we created earlier. That Nabozny folder should be located in the home folder. There it is. We'll go ahead and click on that, and then you'll want to click on the index.html icon, and that's the generated report. It's going to open up a web page that will display all the information. And it looks like, as you can see, it shows the crawl results. And it looks like it color codes the risks. Like the one high risk is a red dot, and there's 110 medium risks and 25 low risks, and so on. Then there's a document type overview, which we can expand all these fields. And it doesn't say that there's any vulnerabilities in the document type, but it does show that there's also the issue type overview. It shows all the issues that was found, and all these issues can also be found in the crawl results. You can expand the results by clicking on the green plus sign. It actually shows exactly where it was located in the recursive crawl. So we'll look for that red dot, the high issue, and there it is. We'll go ahead and expand that field. There it is. Query injection vector. So it looks like this area was vulnerable to an injection attack. It also gives like a memo, which is a brief description of what exactly it is. It says response suggests arithmetic evaluation on server side. So there must have been some sort of vulnerability on the server side that would have allowed an injection attack. And we can open up the trace file. We can actually see the content that showed that vulnerability. And also here you can kind of see like how the request went through. So that request was sent over the HTTP port, and then the response we got from Metasploitable is right here, and this is where the vulnerability was. And it also gives other useful information too, as you can see, like it says the date of when it responded. It says the port it responded over. It says the port was open. It says the server type, or version I should say. The technology that is used. So it definitely gives some very useful information as well. And then somewhere within this code was where the vulnerability was located. It doesn't specify exactly where, but it's definitely in here. And then we can also see some other potential risks that it found. It found a lot of medium type risks, like a PHP error. And this one, maybe we'll expand this. It looks like a cross-site scripting error in this one, which was back in the overview, that was a medium level security issue. So there's some sort of issue with the PHP. So it definitely, as you can see, gives some information exactly where those errors are found. And we'll go ahead and another useful thing it gives is the actual document types. And you can actually open these up and take a look at them. Like maybe we'll take a look at one of these JavaScript, see what it says. And that's the JavaScript file. That's very cool. This pretty much gives all the stuff used in the website, the cascading style sheet information. We can pull that up. It was able to tell that. We'll open one of these just to take a look at it. So we could see exactly what style they use for their websites. And this just gives us directly what the issue is without that interactive sitemap to show us exactly where. So as you can see, along with some potential security vulnerabilities, it also gives a lot of information about the website itself, so it's very useful. But I'll go ahead and we'll end this demonstration here. Thanks for watching. This is my first YouTube video, so if you found this useful, please subscribe and comment and share. Hopefully the right person out there, this will help. Also like the video, please. Thank you. Oh. Well, thanks for watching. Goodbye.